Today is our last stop in this journey. We've been able to see the faithful love of the King toward His chosen people in some key portions of the Old Testament. From the beginnings in Genesis, we saw 4 big events and 4 important people. God preserved Noah and his family on the ark. Moses preached on the plains of Moab to prepare the people to inherit the land. Israel became a nation. We got a taste of the Psalms, from the mind of Moses, the old guy, to the deep thoughts of David, the man after God's own heart. We've seen good and bad kings, the heights of peace and prosperity to the depths of failure and despair. Now, after spending a few weeks hearing the stories and messages of the prophets who spoke to God's people while they were in captivity, we take our final step into the last 100 years or so before your Bible goes from the Old Testament to the New. Starting in the mid-500s BC, God allows the exiled nation to begin returning to Israel. We refer to this final time period of the Old Testament as post-exilic, after the exile. And as they make this transition back, we see God having done 3 amazing things in the hearts of His people while they were in captivity. He cures their idolatry, gives them a new respect for the law, and ignites inside them a burning hope for the coming Messiah. And that's what the remainder of the Old Testament centers around: preparation for the coming of the King. Nehemiah shows us the building of the city walls. Ezra shows the needed purification and separation of the people. Haggai says, build the temple. Zechariah tells of the coming king who would be pierced for their transgressions. And in Malachi, when the people challenged God Himself as to where His justice is, the answer, the Lord whom you seek will come. Old Testament closed, 400 years of silence, and then Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John pick up the story just as the prophets foretold of the baby born of a virgin in Bethlehem. For our final stop in the journey, we'll take a look at a book that shows this post-exilic time period from a different angle. And for that, we go to Persia and the book of Esther. See, the return to Israel from captivity actually happens in phases. At the time of Esther, many have returned, and the temple has just been rebuilt. But over in Persia, there remains a group of Jewish people still under the rule of another nation. And the fate of God's chosen people lies in the hands of a young Jewish girl and her uncle. In this final stop on our journey, let's learn once again about the faithful love of the King as He protects and preserves His people no matter the circumstances.